Hey, what's up, guys? Coach Bobby here. Welcome to my 5-part video series on the 5 steps to success. Now, I've changed the wording a little bit to be the 5 steps to greatness, right? I know it's semantics, but I believe that greatness more accurately describes what I'm trying to convey to you guys. It's the 5 steps to being great at whatever your goal is, right? So we're pursuing a goal of some sort, right? Lose 20 pounds, build a business, become a lawyer, whatever it is, right? And we're pursuing that goal, and along the way, the goal might change, right? Along the way, we might realize that the goal we had was a stepping point to something else. Or we might realize that now that we're here, right, we want more, right? So instead of saying success, which in some ways might mean we're done, right? We'll say greatness. It's 5 steps to greatness, because at some point you're going to get there, and it might mean that your journey to that spot stopped, right, and was a stepping point to something else. Or it might mean now you've got to the point, and instead of chasing, now you're running with other great people and pursuing even higher and higher things in that endeavor or that field. All right, so let's call it the 5 steps to greatness. All right, so let's get into it. So step 1 of this 5-step journey is probably the most important, right? And honestly, it's the one that people don't spend enough time addressing, right? As we get into, many people will go to step 2, 3, 4, 5, and they'll skip what is probably the most important step, right? And that's step 1. And so step 1, without further ado, step 1 to anything we do, any goal we have, the first step is that we have to want to be something, all right? Now, in that statement are 2 key words, right? 2 key words. Number 1 is want, right? We have to want to be something. And I'll explain what I mean. And the second part of that is we have to want to be something, right? So want and be are the 2 important words in that statement on the first step. All right, so want, right? So many people tell me they want to lose weight, right? I say I want to write a book. I say I want to build a business. I want to be this fitness guru, this motivational speaker, right? So we want a lot of things, right? But as I tell my boot campers, right, you don't want it bad enough, right? If you've been at anything for more than a month or 2, right, or a few months, right, and have not made progress, and you are physically, right, and mentally able to do it, then you don't want it bad enough, right? And so people argue with me. I argue with myself about it. Yes, I want it. Yes, you want it. But we have to figure out what's going on, right? And what happens is we think we want it, right? We think we want it, but our subconscious thinks otherwise, right? So there's 2 pieces to it, to the want. There's 2 pieces to the statement, the want and the be, right? You have to want to be something. And within the want, there's 2 layers, all right? So number 1 is we have to understand, we're adults, we're all grown-ups here. We have to understand that wanting something comes with other stuff that we might not be enamored with or in love with, right? We're adults, right? So you might say you want a nice marriage and a beautiful family, but if you enjoy going out and partying and playing poker with your boys or going out and having drinks with your girlfriends, right, you don't really want what you say you want, right? If you say you want to lose 20 pounds, but you also enjoy having your bread every night or your ice cream every night or sleeping in every day and not working out, then you might say you want it, but you don't want what comes with it, right? So we have to figure out and be honest with ourselves that just saying you want it, and yes, we all want to be rich and skinny, right? But grown-ups like us know that with those wants come certain requirements to those wants. And if we're being adult about it, we have to understand that certain things come with those wants. And if we don't want those things or aren't willing to accept those things, then we don't want it, right? So we have to be honest and stop saying we want it if we're not willing to accept what we know deep down comes with it. All right? But more importantly, let's assume that we're all adults here, we're all grown-ups, we're all willing to accept the wants that come with the main want, or the requirements, I should say, that come with our want, right? So the next level, the next layer that few of us confront is the subconscious contradictions that come with that, all right? So what do I mean by that? All right, so I want to be a national, if not global, icon in the fitness and motivational spectrum, right? I want to be known as somebody who has used fitness and the success I've had in fitness and in sports and even in finance, and the ability I've shown to balance things and still remain health conscious. I want to use that platform to motivate and inspire people, right? But I'm also fearful of public speaking, right? I grew up with a huge fear. It's better now, obviously, but I grew up with a fear of public speaking, right? So if my subconscious is afraid to be on stage and talk to 100 people, let alone 45,000 people, that contradicts my desire to want to be a professional speaker, right? Professional motivator, right? If you want to lose 20 pounds, but subconsciously you're afraid of what that might mean in your circle of friends, or what that might mean in terms of your relationship with your wife or husband, or what that might mean in your using your weight as an excuse to not going for a promotion or not doing certain things in your life. If your subconscious is protecting you from that, then achieving that goal is going to be very difficult, right? Our brains are wired to protect us, right? It's primal, it's evolutionary. Our brains are wired to make us fearful of things that make us uncomfortable and to prevent us. So our subconscious protects us. So if we want to lose 20 pounds, or we want to be a doctor, but our subconscious, for whatever reason, doesn't want that, then the chances of us achieving that are slim to none. So when I say that you have to want to be something, the want, number one, requires that we accept, the list of requirements that come with the want, but also that we address our subconscious and either fight through the fears and the anxieties, right, that we're willing to fight through, or we accept that those subconscious fears and anxieties are too strong for us to want what we say we want, and be honest about it, right? Hopefully, we'll see, like in my case, that a lot of it is from our childhood and unwarranted, right? Or whatever it is, it's unwarranted, and hopefully we're willing to fight those battles, right? To accept that fear is part of growth and address our subconscious like an adult and say, look, I understand that the fear and the anxiety served me well when I was 12, right? But now that I'm a grown-up, right, those fears and anxieties are not warranted. And they stand in the way of me getting to what I want, right? What I really want. All right, so step one is we have to want to be something, right? And so want to be something, the second part of that is be, right? We're not driven, right, to do things. We're not driven to build a business. We're not driven to lose 20 pounds. We're not driven to speak publicly, right? We're driven based on accomplishments, based on feelings, right? So we're driven to be 20 pounds lighter, not to lose 20 pounds. We're driven to be a successful business owner, right? Not to build a business, right? And I know it sounds like it's semantic, but it's really not, right? So when I woke up every day as a youth, right, I was driven by a desire to be a football player, to be an NFL football player. I wasn't driven to play football. I wasn't driven to score touchdowns or make tackles. I was driven to stand up in front of my mother, right, at the NFL draft and see her pride on her face, right? I was driven because she told people at the local supermarket over and over again that her baby boy was going to be drafted, right? I was driven by the feeling, right, of my mother crying in the front row, right? That feeling drove me. It wasn't wearing a uniform. It wasn't buying a house. It wasn't driving a car. It was a feeling that pushed me. And so the law of attraction, right, quantum physics, states that like attracts like. And the like is the feeling, right? So we have to want to be something. We have to put ourselves in the moment, in the end result, in the product, right? And that's going to pull us when times get rough, right? So instead of saying you want to lose 20 pounds, you have to want to be 20 pounds lighter. Like, want to be it at your core. Like, you have to wake up and want to be lighter and want to be fitter and want to be sexy or whatever it is. You have to wake up and want to be a lawyer and want to be a graduate and want to be a business owner, right? Want to be whatever it is. You're not driven to do better. You're driven to be at the moment. When you're climbing a mountain, you're not driven by the mountain. You're driven by the feeling of how it's going to feel when you're on top, looking down at your accomplishment. And so the desire is you have to want to be at the end result. And that has to be a pull for you. So if you don't want it bad enough, right, the want part, if you don't want to accept the requirements that go with the want, or the subconscious barriers are too strong, then you won't get past it, right? And if you don't want to be, like if at your core, it doesn't feel good, it doesn't drive you to want to be in that state, like permanently in that state, right? Then it won't pull you. So the first step into any goal, right, whether it's lose 20 pounds, build a business, become a president, whatever it is, you have to want it bad enough, right? And you have to want to be in that moment, right? In that position, right? Be that person, right? The way it feels, the way it tastes, the way it looks. You have to feel how it feels to walk on stage, to wear the dress you want to wear, to be able to speak. For me, it was like the feeling it would have for me to get up and go speak to people as an NFL football player. It's a feeling of being in a room with my mother and having her say, "This is my son, the NFL football player," right? So that drove me. It was how it felt. It wasn't the journey. It wasn't any of the accolades along the way. It was the feeling, right? So step one in this journey is you have to want to be something, right? Whatever it is. And even if you don't know what it is, right? The desire to be great, the desire to feel how it is when you're great in life, right? How it feels to go out of your door, how it feels to have people look at you, to shake somebody's hand and have them recognize you as being great at what you do, right? Right? So step one in this journey toward your goal is you have to want to be something. All right, stay tuned for step two.